Welcome to the largest of three part 1 video. In this video we will write the PHP code to find the largest of three integers input. For this code we will simply be writing the logic, so we will hard code the values into the program. We'll also look at where we save this in relation to our home page so that we can easily find it from our CW website page. We'll save this file as the largest of three hard-coded .php. We'll use the following header from W3C recommendation. It will be this doc type with the HTML with the XMLNS, that's for XML namespace attribute. This is not an actual link here, but as we worked on in the last module, this will be able to validate our XHTML properly. So I can simply copy and paste this into my document. Control C to copy, and Control V to paste. This looks like XHTML code, and it certainly is, but you can see down here this is where my PHP starts. The title will be largest of three numbers. Make this hard coded. It's a good idea to get something working logically that you have faith in before you start on a larger project like input from the user. So this one, just so we make sure our logic is correct, we'll just hard code three values. We ordinarily wouldn't do this. In the next video we'll look at getting input from the user. Alright, our PHP should start here with a PHP tag. It is a question mark and then PHP. Give your initials and the date that you programmed this. Today is the 10th. And a good idea is to also list the comments. This is how you start a comment in PHP. Comments should technically be English-like sentences, should as close as you can. Here I just have my initials and my date. If you used someone else's code, you can say that as well here in the comments. Just remember a Java style comment or C++ style comment. This will be a single line comment here, and say where you got the code. You can also say that you modified someone else's code if you're working in a group. So my PHP starts right here and it ends here with a closing PHP tag, which is just a question mark. To declare a variable in PHP of course is a typeless language, which means that it will pick up its data type once the variable has a value. So we are declaring and initializing because we have to initialize our variables in PHP for them to work. So this is input as in hard-coded and output. This, by the way, is called a data table. This is probably one of the few times that we have input on the same line as our source code. Generally, we like to have our comments before our code. So in this case this is a data table. So we've declared three variables, num1, num2, and num3 in standard PHP fashion. And now we want to find the largest of these three numbers. So we'll make num1 here 1, 1, num2, 2, 2, and num3, 3, 3. Again, just hard coding them so we can get this program working. To find the largest, we'll use a nested if statement here. So if num1 is greater than num3, then num3 is out of the running for the largest. We just have to now compare num1 to num2. So if num1 is larger than num2, then let's output the largest number was num1, which has a value of num1. Notice here my PHP code. The echo will actually write this, and if you look closely, the echo has a starting delimiter of a double quote and ending a double quote as well. All PHP statements are terminated with a statement terminator, which is this semicolon. Because I have a single statement here, I could omit the French braces here. My students like to say that this assignment is an exercise in using opening and closing French braces. That may be the case. Nonetheless, I prefer to have the French braces in here, even though with a single statement they're optional, because if I wanted to do something else, like make another statement, it's easily done in semicolon, so I don't have to actually add an opening and closing French brace. So I'll leave that in there as well. Alright, so if num1 is indeed greater than num2, then I'll output num1 else num2. Back to outside the nested if statement. This would be the if statement that enclosed this if statement, the inner if statement here. If this statement failed, if this test failed, num1 greater than num3, then I need to check and see if num3 is greater than num2. If so, num3 is largest, output it, else output num2. Alright, once you have that working, and I promised we would save this, go ahead and save this as the largest hard-coded.php. So file, save as, save it somewhere where you know that you can find it. .php. I use a program called TextPad. There are other editors out there. I've been using TextPad for a long time, so it's pretty easy for me to use. Whatever you're comfortable with, you can use that text editor. So I've saved my file on my local drive. One more thing that I need to do here, I need to make sure that my style sheet is correctly stated. Here in the href attribute for my link, I have mystylesheet.css. This is not going to work because in my CSS folder I have mystyle02 and mystyle01, and notice that they are in fact in my CSS folder. So when you're rewriting code like I'm doing here, this is a real common it's not really an error, but it's just a common update that you have to handle. Make sure that you properly tell your code where your style sheet is. So again, my style sheet is mystyle01 and it's in my CSS folder. So from root CSS / mystyle01.css. Okay, now PHP will be able to find that. Actually, that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and save that again and push that page up to our website. So again, I just use the FTP functionality of Internet Explorer to view that in Windows Explorer page. It's going to challenge me for my password again. So you can see here is this is my website. I'm actually on the server in my subdomain in HTTP docs. Here's my CSS folder. Here's my styles 01, my style 02. I can just delete. There's the home icon page, home icon graphic that I need to link up. Anyway, I'm in my CSS. I need to put this into my CW folder. So from my index, I'll create now I create a new folder. We'll call this CWASSIGN, CW assign. Okay, so CW assign, and this is where I will put the largest hard-coded.php file. Here it is on my local drive, largest hard-coded. This is Windows Explorer that I have open here, and this is the FTP client of Windows Internet Explorer. So if you use another FTP client, that's fine. I just do this because everyone has this available. So just drag and drop that in, and that's all there is to uploading it. So notice here where it is. It's in the CW assign folder, and it's called largest hard-coded.php. So to run that, I would enter from HTTP my subdomain /CW assign /largest hard-coded.php. And remember, we're on Apache server. Everything is case sensitive here, so I have to make sure that I use the proper case. So let's go ahead and run this right now, see if our program works. So my URI is now going to be dmolS11.citfcc.com /CW assign largest hard-coded.php. So let's go run that page, and it says not found. We'll have to figure out why that is not found. Oh, look what happened. Largest hard-coded. The H here was lowercase. So let's correct that. You'll remember that now because mistakes are always remembered. And let's run that. Largest. Make sure it's spelled exactly correctly. There we go. And there's our code. Anticlimactic at best. Alright, in this video we wrote the PHP code to find the largest of 3 integer values. The values were hard-coded into our program. In the largest of 3 part 2, we will break this program down into input. We'll have an HTML page for input. We'll have a PHP page for processing, and then a PHP page for output. This will conclude largest of 3 part 1.